Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Tea. We are just waiting for my lovely co-host, Melissa Kathryn. Hello. Where are you all from? Hello. So I'm very excited for today's show because in it, we are going to be showing you 5 immediate ways that you can change your mental state, your emotional state, and 5 ways to get happy immediately today. So as soon as Melissa joins us, there she is. Come on in, Melissa. Hello, everyone. It really just...
Hi. I always come like, am I serious? Somehow I always time these things like right when I'm coming from a workout, and I'm like, hi.
No, you always look so
over
lovely.
here.
No, you always look so lovely. I was just sharing with our amazing audience from, again, all over the world, which is so remarkable, that we're going to be sharing today 5 easy ways. Hello, Johnny Ramirez. Ways that you can change your mental state. 5 ways to get happy right now. So thank you for being here with me, the lovely Melissa Kathryn, always.
Thank you for having me. Wait, what am I talking about? We are co-hosts every week. I'm so excited about this, and I think that this is the perfect time to be talking about happiness, because I just feel like I know things are starting to open up, and I also think there's a lot going on with this vaccination. I think there's a lot that's going on for people in their lives. And I think the power in knowing that you can reset at any time is so amazing. And it's one of my favorite things. And people always ask me how I'm so happy all the time. So I'm excited to share.
Yes. So, I think that one of the things that I constantly get asked, and I'm sure you do as well, because you talked about this, is how do you sort of maintain happiness, or how do you get into a better state of mind when things are blowing up in your face, when things are going wrong left and right? What is the number one way that you can sort of diffuse that trigger in order to get happy, in order to at least not find yourself in a negative spiral?
Well, I think first is, okay, so I'll answer, and then I'm going to throw it back at you.
Okay.
I think you just, my little stunning, by little, I mean magnanimous. First and foremost, I think all change happens through awareness. I think it's recognizing, wow, I'm starting to spiral, or there's a lot that's going on. I love always reminding everybody, and I will always say this, your reality is what you choose it to be at all times. This does not negate when things are challenging and things are hard, and it's like, oh no, that's not my reality, that, someone's sick, or that I just got this going on in my life, or I lost my job. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that you can choose to look at how you are experiencing what's going on for you, and always recognizing that you have the power to co-create and to shift where your focus is and what your experience of it is. So whenever I come back, so a few very simple things. One, all change happens through awareness. So one, just being aware, like, oh, okay, I'm starting to spiral. And you recognize too that when you're in that place, you're really not in your body. You can never outthink yourself of a negative state, ever. So being caught in your head is never going to get you to where you want to be. So we really want to recognize, okay, I'm not connected to my highest self right now and my best faculty. I'm in a space that's fully about the mind. And my mind's going to put me into a fear-based thinking and doubt and other things of that nature. So let me drop back into my body. And then I will I teach a breath work that I love. That's a combination of hypnosis, NLP, and breath work. And it's breathing in 5 through the nose, suspending the breath for 5, calming the nervous system, and getting your subconscious to take hold and your conscious mind to take a back seat. and then exhaling for 5. So in the suspending of the breath, you actually drop back into your body and get back into a space where you can access your higher self. And what I mean by that is a better way of thinking as well. And then affirming what is it that you do want, and then scripting that out. So 1 is awareness. 2 is recognizing, how do I want this experience to go? 3, and really understanding you can create that. 3 is doing the breath work, connecting back into the body, getting the guidance from your higher self, and then scripting out what is it that you want, and then affirming it. Those would be my 5.
I love those. And I love the connecting the body back in doing that, because we can feel really out of our bodies. We can feel like we're really sort of taken out of alignment really quickly. And sometimes it's just a word. Sometimes it's, you know, just whatever. I think that there's a million different ways that you can get taken out of alignment. And in fact, the world may seem as though if you're in that state that it's wired to take you out of alignment. Actually, the opposite is true, but we'll get there. One of the things that I really employ in my life, and that has been pretty foundational for me just as a person, is that perspective is the most powerful tool that you can offer yourself really in any situation, but specifically if you feel like you're in a bad mood, or if you're in a space that you're like, you know what, things just keep going wrong, or I can tell, you know, I've heard this a lot. And, you know, I think it's a really common, really, you know, it's a human thing to sort of feel like, I don't even like myself right now. I've heard people say that. I'm sure that I've even said that, but I don't even like myself. I don't even like the way that I'm thinking. So the first step that you can take actively, immediately, is perspective. You can always have it worse than you do now, even if it seems like you can't. And someone else does have it worse. You could have a flat tire and be having a bad day. Or you could have a flat tire in the middle of the Australian outback in 105-degree weather. So I think that even just potentially, you know, digesting that for a moment helps to give a little bit of perspective, because what that does is it can start to introduce the big G, gratitude, into the equation. And so gratitude is really one of the fundamental
big G, guys.
The big G, you know, gratitude is really one of the fundamentals in life itself, and in order to have a fulfilled and, you know, blessed life, but in order to be really engaged in life, gratitude is a necessary ingredient. So even if you feel like you're so far away from that, and that you're in a situation that you're like, oh, this is absolutely terrible, you can introduce perspective, which can lead you into gratitude. Understand that there is always a worser case scenario. I don't know if that's proper grammar, but that's okay. There's always a worser case. I just made it. There's always a worser case scenario than what you're currently experiencing. So understand that, and that can immediately introduce gratitude into the situation that you have. Gratitude is really transformational, because it will take you from where you are to where you want to be, and it sort of comes in the back door that you don't even notice that it's happening. One of the other things that I would really suggest, that I use for myself when I find myself getting frazzled, is I immediately make a list of 5 things I can actively control in this moment. Can I control what's happening with traffic? No. Can I control my own ability to deal with it? Yes, I can. Can I control the fact that this guy just cut me off, or that I'm late for an appointment? No, I can't. I'm sort of subject to that. Can I control that I can put on some soothing music, or that I can listen to a podcast, or that I can, you know, jam out to whatever song and sort of take my mind off it? Yes, I can. So that ability to neutralize what feels like a really intense charge, and what feels like a really sort of like overwhelming obstacle in front of you, can be, again, really transformative in getting you to where you want to be. So focus on the things that you can control. Make a list of 5 things that you can control. If you feel like that doesn't jive with you, or if you feel like that's too much in that moment, I want you to actually take an even bigger leap. It's not as big as you may think, but it's going to feel like it's completely off topic, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So make a list of the top 5 things that you love to do the most. So this is an NLP, the neuro-linguistic pathway trick, that sort of tricks your brain into automatically producing more serotonin instead of adrenaline or, you know, norepinephrine or whatever stress chemicals it may currently be producing. It's going to bump up that serotonin. It's going to bump up the endorphins, because your brain doesn't know the difference between experiencing that in real time or if you're reflecting back in a memory. So if you feel like, gosh, I can't neutralize this situation, and, you know, I'm late for an appointment and everything's going wrong, et cetera, get off topic. Actually get off topic. Make a mental or physical, or what, you know, if you're driving, don't do this, but make a list of the 5 things that you love to do the most. If you don't have 5 things that you love to do the most, 5 people that you love spending the most time with. My point is that I want you to make that big leap. And when you make that big leap, what will happen sort of universally and in terms of physics is you could have 10 things that are going right for you and 1 that's going wrong. And if you're focusing on that 1 that's going wrong, you can't let that transform. You can't let that change, because you're applying similar thinking to the level of the problem in which it was created, right? So you got to get off topic. You got to find a way. And these are little bridges, or these are little pathways that can take you there. So when you get off topic, you allow it to resolve itself. And this is a little law of attraction trick that, Melissa, I know we use in our businesses and in our lives, but that I wanted to share with you all because it really helps and it really works in real time.
I love that. I love that so much, guys. And what you're seeing is the power in language, and the power in where you put your focus. Where you place your focus, your energy goes and grows. So if we're just going to use traffic, if you're sitting there and then you're bitching and complaining about the traffic, and then you talk every person, and then you're like, oh my God, and now there's this, and now I'm going to be late for this, and now my whole day's right, then you're spiraling and you're living in a futuristic reality of everything not working out for you. In that moment, we want to drop back into the breath work. We want to drop back into, well, how can this work for me? And I also want you to notice the power in your language, and the power in what you state will create your reality. Again, bring in that principle of the law of attraction. When you sit there and just a simple phrase, everything's working out for me, everything is working out for me, everything. Every time I go to the airport, whether I'm late, anything, I'm just like, everything's always working out for me. Even if they're like, I'm sorry, like, you know, like my luggage, you know, I just flew first class, like coming back. Normally your plane's like your luggage is the first off. It didn't make the flight. I'm like sitting in the airport. It's like midnight. I'm like, okay, it's like 1,000 degrees. They're telling me it's coming. And I'm like, everything's working out for me. And right. And then everything aligns. And it's really awesome to see how that happens. So you can connect right in with your language right away and just start to stay. Okay, there may be mass chaos, but what you don't want to do is start calling every one of your friends, texting, bitching, complaining, getting everybody on the bandwagon of, oh my God, this has happened and this has happened and this has happened and this isn't going to work out for me and I'm going to complain. I'm going to have this. Thanks for all the hearts. And we love hearts. And that all that does is add their energy as well. So now you're getting not only your negative energy, now you're projecting in, you're negatively co-creating a future experience you don't even want. You're adding fuel to the fire of what is, but now you're getting other people's energy and all of their stuff about traffic or about whatever it is, overwhelm or being tired or this happening or, oh my God, you wouldn't believe this person cut me off or this person was talking about me. And then you're getting all their negative like energy on it. And you now are more fired up than ever in the wrong direction. So we want to take it back, get back into control. Most feel that there's always, especially like I work with a lot of women in that type A, super high achieving, love to have control, love to create, love, very successful. It's great. It's supported them in many ways. And they're also like, I'm like, we need to release the control. And one of the things I always say is in the art of surrendering, you actually have more control than ever, because you're surrendering and opening up to the universe and saying, I don't want to control anymore. I just know that I desire for this to be awesome. And right now it does not feel that way. It feels really effing hard. Or this, all the things are going wrong. So you just want to actually surrender it over. And in doing that, and more, we love hearts. And in doing that, you, this is hysterical. And in doing that, you get more control, because now you're opening up for the universe to work with you, instead of you thinking that the world is working against you and you're just out for like a really crappy day and no one's right, like nothing. So that's also how we get back to our happy, and we start to like vibe out. And that's when you see people that are like, this morning was rough, but it ended up being the best day ever. Like, we were on the phone, and, or maybe we weren't on the phone, maybe we were on our Cosmic too. And you were like, yeah, I tell my kids today is going to be an epic day, because you and I both know the power in prefacing. And you were saying like your kids are like, Mom, another day, how's today going to be better than? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, it's going to be better than yesterday. And then it ends up, right? And so there's other affirmations too that are super fun, like universe, surprise, and delight me. Like, what gifts do you have for me today? I can't wait to see, like, show me. And I'm telling you, you will get a lot of random gifts. Even actually, if you want material gifts, just be like, I randomly get unexpected gifts and I love them, right? Yeah. Like, see what happens, but start having fun in the magic and the joy of your life.
Well, you know, it's so true, because we don't give ourselves enough credit when we undermine our power of the fact that we do script our reality. We do script our day. So it's just important to keep that in mind.
I script everything.
Yeah, you're a powerful creator, you know, and so one of the ways that you can take yourself out of, you know, a negative thinking is all the ways that we've supplied. But how do you sort of propagate or cultivate more happiness if you feel like you're already in a place that you are happy? Is just sort of squeezing the juice out of that, right? So it's about making sure that
you're so good at this.
Yeah. Well, I try, but it's really about you know, looking at something, and I try to ask myself a couple of really informative questions. So if I had one day left on earth, who would I want to spend my time with? And then those are the people that I tend to gravitate more towards, because I know that they're going to bring me that reciprocity, that it's an energetic exchange, right? And I'm going to feel that energetic exchange. What would my favorite foods be if I, you know, could only eat one or two more meals for the rest of my life? Because the problem is, and this is a quote from Buddha, that you think you have time. Now, I'm not saying that any of us are getting ready to exit this earth plane anytime soon, but we should act that way.
Absolutely.
We should act that way in how we value people and experiences and the chances that we want to take, because we have this opportunity, and it's so important that you don't put off the thing that may be staring at you in the face. Because I think that a lot of unhappiness and a lot of complacency and a lot of stagnancy really comes from, I'll get to that in 5 years, or I'll do that in 2 years. We've sort of indoctrinated this idea to people that there needs to be a structured 2 or 5 year plan for how you live your life. And that, I think, has really made people unhappy. I think it's made people complacent. I think it's made people, you know.
Are you talking in regards to, like, I think the old way of like, you have to go to college and you have to do this, and you should, I actually, I mean, we could get into a whole thing about, like, I actually think the whole preface around like, oh, you have, like, aim to retire by this age, and like, yeah. And like at like 70, you know, by 40 you're falling, you know, you're starting to age, and by this it's like, what is all this like these things that are being said that people are buying into, where they're applying mass amounts of pressure, or they're just like, oh yeah, I have to live that way. Like, who says? Like, I was just teaching this in one of my group programs, where we actually, like, the end of our last call was really about writing your own rules. But you and I talked about this earlier today, when you and I just made really big leaps in our lives, where we, because guys, just from a Scorpio, wait, Liv and I can totally go into like all the woo-woo stuff with you.
All of the woo-woo stuff.
We're
Like
gonna, we should just do a woo-woo cosmic tea.
We'll just be here for a while.
Yeah. So okay. So let's bring them into a little bit to our conversation earlier. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we were talking about there's a Scorpio new moon. Who here has been just like noticing that there's big changes you're wanting to make, whether you're wanting to declutter, whether there's relationships that aren't working for you anymore, whether you're noticing like old cycles or ways of being that you're just like, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't like that. I don't want that aspect anymore. Like that doesn't even feel like me. Who has been feeling like you're ready to close the door on those things, or you already have just started to move away or shut things?
Yeah, absolutely. Show of hands. Yeah.
Well, we're also getting tons of people just joining too.
Yeah. Cool. So for myself personally, as Melissa and I were sharing privately earlier, but it's now public, which is fine. Because it's just,
you don't know, we don't have to go into like, yeah, but
I have nothing to hide. So I myself am somebody who does take risks. So that's what makes me happy. As I've gotten older, I've taken more calculated risks, which is also okay because I never do anything that feels misaligned. I really try to make sure that it feels completely aligned. However, even though I've had plans of like, this is going to happen in 5 years, this is what I'd like to happen in 2 years. As I was sharing with Melissa in our conversation earlier, the universe is just sort of taken things out of the equation and introduced other things and people into the equation. That's like, yeah, you know, those plans that you were putting off that you were going to do in like 2 years or 5 years, that's going to happen right now. And
but
so
see, I also, though, I'm totally interrupting for 1 second. I also think the universe, though, you have to be in the forward momentum, though, for the universe to come in the way it did for you.
I think so. You know, I think that I'm this consummate learner and traveler, yes, but I had what I felt was like a structured plan, and the universe just came in and was like, no, follow us this way. And so the resistance of that, or trying to dig in my heels and trying to say, no, not right now, or, oh my gosh, this is not what I had planned. The more that I leaned into that, the more that I leaned into this isn't how I pictured it in my head, the more stressful it became and the more just not how I like to flow was introduced. So my lesson has been that I need to listen to the cues that are being given to me and not fight them. And not that I ever did, but I do believe and trust that there is a universal force that is much more all-knowing, all-seeing, whatever your belief system is, than I am. So I listen to that, right? Because I think that the universe whispers and then it speaks and then it yells. And when it yells, it's like the car accident or the loss of job or the whatever. So I never
yelling is not where you guys want to get.
No, I never like to have.
You want to listen to the whispers, but the yells are like, oh, okay, I finally I've broken my leg, so like I have to.
Yeah.
No, I have not broken my leg.
Or it's like, you know, the relationship that you know you should get out of, and then you don't do it, and then the other person like ends up cheating or what, like just stuff like that. I'm just using that as a for instance. So it's just, you know, I try to listen to it in its infancy stages because I think that there's really valuable wisdom that comes from that. So every time that I haven't just sort of like made myself still and listened to the subtle cues of the universe and the nuances, and then ultimately run it through the filter of what feels right for me, because that's going to be your ultimate indicators, what feels right for you intuitively, emotionally, and otherwise, bar none, above all else. Then every time that I've not done that, it's been a car wreck. It's been, you know, some sort of disastrous resolution that you actually don't want. What you do want is to have this sort of free-flowing alignment that feels good, that takes you to fulfillment, that doesn't feel like you're, you know, what's the expression, like nailing jello to a tree or whatever.
Never heard that, but I will have your back with it.
Yeah, if you've had kids, you're very familiar with what that feels like. So it's really just sort of about being in as much alignment as you possibly can. So you have to listen to the universe in its infancy stages of communication. So whispering, speaking, don't let it yell, because by the time that it gets to yelling, it's like, You don't want that. Trust me, you don't want that, because that's the disease. That's the like massive cataclysmic
I
event
had that. You don't
yeah,
have it.
that then does take
But I will
5
tell
years,
you,
like whatever, to recover from.
it's so I again though, like I will say, I think having an idea of what it is that you want and this or something better, it's not being so like I think we can have those ideas, and I do think the universe will course correct you where to go that will be even greater than what you could even fathom in your human experience beyond what you know.
Yeah.
However, I will say, I think you also have to be in that space of actually taking action and saying, I know that I want things to be different than what they currently are. And like actually being in that motion versus it's like that whole thing when somebody's like, I want to meet somebody, but then they sit inside their house all the time and you're like,
You're
okay,
like,
so you
it's
actually
not
have
the
to
Domino's
do
delivery driver. It's your soulmate is not the Domino's delivery driver.
exactly. Like you have to do something in order. So have an idea of what you want and then be bold in making that happen. And trust me, you will get course corrected. Like when I was at the height of my coaching business and I was like, this is my thing. I found my niche. I'm like, I'm going. I got like knocked out and I was like, oh, okay. And I ended up, you know, I got thyroid cancer and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't even matter. The point was, though, I was at a space where I was like going so big over here. And then it was like, oh no, like we get that, but you haven't been listening to where we want you, though,
Yeah.
instead. And I was
Yeah.
like, I thought I was. And I was like, oh no. In reflecting on that, I just kept driving. And really, when I looked back, I was working really hard and putting a lot of hard effort into one direction that I thought I was supposed to go in. Like that I thought I was divinely being guided in. But in reality, I was not listening to the divine guidance. I was listening to my guidance. And there's a distinction, and you'll know by how it flows and how it feels, but you will get course corrected. So what we're doing here today is saying follow your happy and trust in your heart's desire. Again, any desire in your heart is meant for you. It's already done. You have the faculties to make it happen. It's just always aligning to that. And aligning to happiness at any moment is the greatest gift, because then you are constantly in that attracting state for more of what you want.
Absolutely. And it's a practiced art, right? So it's not something that typically people can just on board and, you know, employ and away we go. That's because we have all of this like pre-programming, right? So we're children and we grow up and we listen to teachers and we listen to parents and we watch societal norms, which may or may not actually align with who we are and what we want, but it certainly is something that we're shown. It's certainly an example. So you have to decide how you fit in there. And you know, I think at some point it comes down to honoring yourself and what you know fits with you and flows with you enough that you're no longer willing to compromise that. And you can do that at any stage of the game. And actually the sooner the better. So the sooner that you learn the power
Actually,
of,
as in this very moment.
like right now today, like 5 minutes ago.
Like,
So those are the gifts you can give yourself. It's really honoring, how do I want to feel? Because you don't have to go through a day, have it just like chalking it up to having a bad day. And I know that sounds really Pollyanna, but it's true. You really want to, like, if you had a stopwatch on you that somebody gave you time left on this earth, you would think twice about wasting an entire 24 hours on that jerk driver in front of you, or the shitty food at the restaurant, or that flaky ass person that doesn't call you back, or whatever, or your job. You would not waste time on it. So honor yourself, honor your time. It has value, it has energetic value, it has spiritual value, and it has linear value. So how do you want to feel in every day? And then that question should make employing these steps hopefully easier.
I love it. And I love you. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
this is, as always, one of the most fun parts of my week. Miss Kathryn, my lovely co-host.
Oh my God, love you so much. And guys, we're going to be running a retreat in September in Florida. Get ready. Details coming out soon. That will be the beginning of one of the many, many things that you will see us doing together.
Some of them good, some of them questionable, but you will be seeing them.
Some of them good, some of our antics. And get ready because we will be together soon. Oh my gosh. And thank you so much. We want to know, what was your biggest takeaway from today? And what is the number one thing that you are going to take from this video and do right away in your day to bring in more happiness and joy to your life? We gave you a lot of amazing actionable tips, how to turn your day around, how to turn your mood around, how to set the stage for success, and how to actually ground in and connect with what your divine guidance is saying you and always bringing you towards. So thank you so much for being here for another epic episode of Cosmic Tea. We will see you next Wednesday here on IGTV Live at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Any questions that you have for myself or Dr. Beautiful Olivia Audrey above, please find us, DM us. We love to hear from you. And also, don't forget to get, for your children, for yourself, Olivia's book. Olivia,
Arthur Fantastic. It's available on Amazon now.
Mine is on its way, and I cannot wait. And we will be doing an interview together next week as well, and we'll be diving deep onto her entire process for that, what the book is about, and some amazing tips and behind the scenes. So stay tuned for that information. And we will be doing that on Instagram and in all the social medias, all the places.
Doing all the things. Listen, Kathryn, I love you so much. Thank you for all of you tuning in from all around the world. You're amazing. We will see you next week.
And we love your hearts. Thank you.
We love your hearts. Stay safe, be well, and be kind.
Please share this with anyone you know that needs it as well.
That's right. Goodbye.